Hey, this is Mark at Woody Creative. All right, we're going to talk through the process of creating these legacy DCS. This is sort of the main Texas Coast page, which houses these sub-communities: Cinnamon Shore, Palmilla Beach, and then if you were to click on Palmilla Beach, you would get this page. Get to the top of it. It looks like this. So they both kind of have a header. So this is a subset. Palmilla Beach is a subset community of Texas Coast. It looks like this. We'll go through this. We'll go through how this stuff is populated. So on the Texas Coast page, there's a graphic size that I can send you the Photoshop file, or we can talk about that. This map functionality is a Divi map. It's dynamic. It's basically the map. It's already built into this. So if you're editing it, what you would do, it shows the 4 different pins that are on here. So you can change them to whatever the communities are. The place to start, though, is the map center address. So there's a difference between the map center address. So the view, this is the first thing you would do. Say, well, how close in do we want to get? You can scroll and to click and get closer and whatever. So notice this view that you're seeing right here looks the same as that. So however close you get and however much you want to position that map is determined, and where it's centered is determined when you click this and you move this thing around. Okay, that sets, before you even have pins, that says where you want the thing to go. You might start by entering the pins first and seeing where they land on the page, but basically entering the pins is similar. You go and type in the name of it and just go and enter the map pin address, hit find, and it'll find the location. And do that as many as you want. So once you have them, you might want to go in and then add the map center address and reposition this to the zoom that you want that will work for it to produce that result. So that's reproducible, or that's easy to edit. The individual individual photos, these are called a blurb. So Palmilla Beach, let's look at that one. This blurb right here is Palmilla Beach. And what I'll do is go ahead and change the name. Blurb, Palmilla Beach. What this blurb has is an image that you basically just paste into here by adding the media. You change the title, and you want to add a link. By adding the link to the Palmilla Beach page allows this to become a link to the Palmilla Beach page. Everything else. Oh, the footer is actually created in the Divi booster here, Divi booster, because these pages were messing up the footer and causing it to. It's not created as like a menu in there. It's actually created right here. So center of the footer links, replace footer links with that code right there is where this footer comes from down here. Okay, so you clicked on Palmilla Beach and you go to this page, and so it looks like this on the back end. So there's a full width image at the top, the text on the left, the gallery of photos. This one has a video. You can turn this into 2 columns if you need to, here, if you don't have a video or a gallery. So there's 2 different ways to do this property listing, which is here, that pulls in this property listing code. This property listing is a, I'll go and show you. If you insert module, it's a WPL Divi specific functionality called property listing. So if we created it, you would set your property, you would set, I would say, make it kind of all. So it's like that for all. The property type is where we've created 8 new property types, these 8, and there's Palmilla Beach. So we would select that. And real quickly, I'll just jump over to this add listing. If you're in the add listing, if you're in the listing manager, in this case, we clicked on Boulding Avenue. Here's where you set that. It's this property type. You would go, if we were in the Palmilla Beach one, you'd select Palmilla Beach. That selection is what allows this to populate all the Palmilla Beach properties, which are these, like GoldenEye is a Palmilla Beach property. So GoldenEye has been, it's very James Bond, has been tagged with this Palmilla Beach, which is causing it to be pulled in. Okay, so everything else I think is good to go. Actually, I'm not sure why that says pound, but you can change that. to dollar units. I would change all these to any, and et cetera, go on down. The columns don't seem to work, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm not going to save this because it's the same as this property listing here. So I'm going to get rid of that. You can also do a property listing by doing an insert module and just selecting, instead of property listing, you can select text. And with text, you would use this little WPL shortcode right here. It's going to look very similar. It may behave differently. Again, we're not sure why we can't get 3 columns out of these things, but property listing is what you want. There's only property. The listing type, all, the layout default. Property type is where you would go through and select Palmilla Beach. And I think the rest of this is already kind of set up as it needs to be. It's trying to do 3 columns, but it won't do it either. So if you were to go through and hit insert, this little piece of code, which is right here, is going to do the same thing as a property listing. So I'm just going to take it out. The map in a red box is similar map functionality, but in this case, we're only doing a single pin. So if you remember on this Texas coast, we did the same. We did the map. We did 4 pins. On this one, it's just Palmilla Beach. We're doing a single pin. Same thing. You go and add the address, and same thing here. Also, you would center this. Your center address here is probably the same address that you're going to end up here. This is what gives you the red pin. This address is what basically gives you the location of the map, how close you are zoomed in, that kind of a thing. So let's see. This is showing more. If I refresh this, it's showing more than it. Here's a newly previewed page. And you can see there's 3 properties that are pulling in. Okay, so this needs to be edited, obviously. What else? Actually, the place I should have started was to show how you get this template to begin with, how you load the template. And it's, let's start with a new, so this is a page. So let's start with, let's add a new page. I'm going to open a new tab. And this one, let's go ahead and create, say we're going to create this Texas coast page first, or something at that level first. So, like for example, the hill country, if the Texas hill country is going to contain is a high-level section that's containing a bunch of stuff. Very first thing you need to do is go over here and change this from right sidebar to full width. This is the only time you can change it. Once you switch over to using the Divi Builder, this is locked out. So you got to do that first. Okay. So now we're going to switch to the Divi Builder, give you the more visual capabilities. And the next thing you'll do will be to load a layout. We're not going to add from library. That's just for blue, green, and the charcoal colored sections, rows, and modules. Those are from the library. This is a layout. So there are 2 layouts that are saved. Give it a second. And they're in all caps. There's the Palmilla Beach layout, which is the subset community layout. The Texas Coast layout is the larger layout. So we're going to select that. And it's basically should replace everything on the page. We'll preview it. I'm hitting pause to do the preview because it's taking a long time to load. So this is that template that is editable, so you can turn it into hill country and you can change all the properties, links, and names and that kind of a thing. Okay. Same story for, we want to add a page for a community. You would do the same thing and add the template for that next level template, which I think was called Palmilla Beach. So as and say this was Saint whatever, next community. We would change this from right sidebar to full width, go to the Divi Builder, and load the layout. By the way, as this comes up, I think your save layouts, this box right here determines whether or not you're replacing everything that's on the page. If you had a layout, something that you wanted to supplement, something you'd already done, uncheck that. But usually you're going to just use the whole thing. So it's not the Texas coast. Here's the Palmilla Beach. This is the subset community for the Texas coast layout. Yeah, that, and then we'll preview that page. So here's what that preview looks like. You saw this before, but obviously this would be editable. You know what? I think there's a piece of code missing that we'll need to update that's causing this to populate, because usually that should be up here. And if it's not, I'm going to show you how to do that. So in this original Palmilla Beach 2, right up in here is a little chunk of CSS. And if you copy that, go to the top, copy the whole thing, and then go to, so it looks like this CSS might not be copying over. This is how you get rid of the map, the WPL map that's kind of big and ugly and you can't do anything with it. So we want to get rid of this big map right here. You go into this little box and paste that CSS that we just copied. Save it. I'll preview it. Okay, so when we preview this, you'll remember there used to be a big map between these and the first property, but that little piece of CSS allows you to get rid of it. We started to go through and try to make all of these banners for other properties and other, for hill country. We have one for hill country, but we don't have big enough images. All the images we have of St. Charles, Boulding Avenue are not 1920 pixels wide. That's how wide they need to be. But if you can find some of those for us, we can very quickly create the entire series of all 8 of these property kind of headers that will lead into each one of these communities. I think that's it. Actually, another thing, once these are ready to go, you need to change the name. So you go up here, this is the visual name, so you would need to go and change the name, to that. But also, very importantly, you would change the name here. That's the URL. To change the Texas Coast page, you would go up to here, on your Texas Coast page. You need to change those, and I can help you with that if you need help. And obviously, we'll go and update the menu because we'll need to eventually make them so that they pull up here. Some of that change in the name, recognize that you already have, I think there's already a page called Palmilla Beach. So you'll need to kind of archive that old page or rename the old page Palmilla Beach Archive so that you can then, because right now I think that page doesn't exist. But let me know if you need help with renaming those pages and getting them to show up in the menu.